All right, we'll get started here in about a minute. All right, folks, thanks for joining me this Saturday morning. Before we begin, make sure you have a set of dumbbells, 3s, 5s, perfectly fine with that. Let's go ahead, get into the warm-up. We'll start things off with some butt kicks here and drive those heels up to the butt, nice and light on the feet. We will take these to a step back overhead reach. Let's go ahead and do that now. So stepping back, bringing the arms up at the same time. Try to keep the arms nice and straight. At this point, I'm sure you're aware if you've been doing these, keeping the arms narrow as they come up will do a better job of stretching through, activating those upper back muscles. So just think about that as you are going through your lunges here. You're keeping the arms nice and straight. You can see I'm really exaggerating, and that's just to kind of illustrate the point. Pull the abs in, squeeze your glute, especially of the front leg, and push through that heel. Keep those arms nice and straight. We'll do one more on each side here. We'll do some high knees. Let's do those high knees. Knees up to hip height. Don't cheat yourself. Get those knees up. A little more work, but a little better effect. Keep driving those knees up. We'll do a couple more here and then some curtsy lunges. Your hands will remain on your hips for those curtsy lunges. Let's go ahead and do that now. So hands on the hips. As you curtsy lunge here, focus on keeping your hips as neutral as you can. That means both level with the floor as well as square facing forward. So you're going to need to really turn the back leg hip into that lead leg and try to just stay as upright as you can as you go back into these curtsies. You are going to want to tilt quite a bit. So just try to straighten yourself up as you do that twist with that back leg hip. Let's do a couple more on each side here. Let's do one more. An easy transition back to butt kicks. Let's drive those heels up. Get them up nice and high. Let's do a squat overhead reach. So squat down, up and reach. Try to just stay nice and upright as you go through. You can see my shoulders are sitting back. I am broad to my shoulders and chest, even as I squat down, meaning I am not falling forward. So just work on that as you go through your squats here. As you move through space, you maintain that open, upright posture as you go through your exercise now. Let's do a couple more here. We'll do some high knees. How about two more? One more. High knees, drive them up. Should be having a slightly elevated heart rate at this point. That's good. If not, get those knees up higher. That'll do the trick. A couple more here. And we'll do a step back with the arms crossing the lead leg. Let's go ahead and do that now. So as you step back, cross into that lead leg. Try to keep that front arm nice and straight as you cross. Try to keep your forward still nice. Your shoulders, forward and square. Pull the abs in too as you cross the arms. Try to keep the hips square too, the hips not sliding out as you step back. People have a tendency to want to do that as they cross the lead leg. Keep that hip forward. Keep the hips square as you cross. Let's do one more on each side here. We'll just quickly butt kicks. Let's one more here. And some butt kicks. Then we'll get into it. Starting off with a little bodyweight series. We'll be doing very similar to what we did on Wednesday if you were there for that. Cool. Changing some of the order of the exercises and then adding in a couple things. But otherwise, same workout. Good challenge for you. And let's go ahead and get into it. So I do want to start things off with a cat-cow. Like I was saying, a little different order, but similar exercises. So you're in the cat position here, focusing on pulling abs and tucking hips under, broad to the upper back, and then squeezing all those same muscles you just stretched. So focus on shoulder blades, squeezing tight along the flanks of the spine as you look up, pulling the shoulders down, arching the low back by tilting your hips forward. So you're trying to cause as much tightness through that posterior side of your spine, and then as much openness as you get into that cat position. I didn't call it, but this is the cow. So cow is about tension. It's about tightness, stress that you feel along the backside of that spine. This is about releasing all of that tension. See if every time you do this, you can get a little further. Now you can see I'm kind of shaking through my shoulders and hips a little bit, and that's okay if that helps you to release a little more tension through part of the spine. Whatever might feel tightest on you, that's perfectly fine. Now on this, see if you can sense where you do feel most resistance along the spine, along your spinal column. We got 10 seconds here, and we will go through a second round. But just notice what feels most limiting in terms of range of motion, right? So when you're in the extension here, what feels more limited is extension or flexion. You really start tuning in and start learning things about your own spine, even just from doing simple mobility things like cat-cow. So switch to a bear here. So just holding the position. Now you'll notice my shoulders are directly over my palms. My arms are straight. My arms are straight, but my elbows are not locked. Neither are yours. Why? Because I want your triceps and biceps holding you. I don't want you relying on the connective tissue to hold you. There's a big difference here. One's going to strengthen the muscles, the other's going to hurt the joints. So let's strengthen the muscles. Arms are straight, but you feel supported by those biceps and triceps. And then working up the chain, I want you to squeeze your shoulders back and down, but make sure the head does not come forward. So with your shoulders locked back and down and those arms nice and straight because those bicep muscles are strong, pull the abs in. Really pull the abs in because you weren't paying attention. Pull the abs in. And squeeze your glutes, but don't lose the abs. Now how about the shoulders? What do the shoulders do? You got 10 seconds here. Yes, these minutes are sometimes difficult. Keep the weight over the palms. Keep the shoulders over the palms. Pull the abs in, squeeze the glutes. Release that. We've got a little L-sit position. We're holding shoulder flexion. So yes, this one might be quite tough, difficult for some of you. Just do your best. So I'm showing you this obviously face on. You can see my arms are nice and straight. Like everyone, there tends to be tendencies of where people tend to mechanically fall apart. For me personally, it's actually a lot, oftentimes at the elbows. So continue to try to straighten whatever joint wants to fold or collapse. So if it's the hips where you feel like you're really falling back like so, simply bend the knees a little more so you can sit forward. Okay. Likewise, if you feel like your shoulders are continuing to fall back, the same cue by pulling the knees up can help you to sit forward, more forward, and drawing those arms back. So what I want you to think about as you're doing your L-sit here, it's like you're being pushed forward, really from the hip joint. Someone's like pushing you forward as someone else takes your hands, right here, you got 10 seconds, bear with it, and pulls your arms back. So it should feel like someone's pushing from your tailbone forward as another person's taking those straight arms and drawing on the way back. All right, let's do cat-cow. Nice job. So here we roll. Again, knees are down on the cat-cow. I'm sure you saw that before. This is obviously face on now. So you are in the cat position. You can let the head fall. You don't have to crank on the head as you do your little flexion here. But then if you're going to look up in the cow version of your cat-cow, I need you to make sure your shoulders are squeezed back and down. So even though I'm looking up and I'm in a lot of cervical extension, that's the neck. As I'm even in that cervical extension, I'm ensuring that my shoulders sit depressed. So I'm not here. There's a big difference. Squeeze your shoulders back as you look up. And then separate nice and broad. Once again, if you're in the cat position, pull the abs in, tuck the tail under. As you pull the abs in, tuck the tail under. I know I just said that, but it's good to continue to hear the cueing. Pull the abs in, tuck the tailbone under. Squeeze tight. You can think of your cow, this is cow, as all about tension through the back. And you can think of the cat all about releasing the back. Again, my pace is pretty slow on these, several seconds in each one. You should be as well. Let's go come out of that right into a bear. So wherever you are, just simply prop the knees up. Easy transition in terms of exercises, about as easy as it gets. So it shouldn't take any time to get into this. and you should have been in this 10 seconds ago. So with that being said, keep the arms nice and straight. Keep the shoulders over the palms. Remember, arms are straight, but you're not locking the elbow joint. It's really important. As you fatigue here, your shoulders are going to want to start shrugging up. I know this. Keep your shoulders down. Keep them down. Keep your shoulders over your palms. You're going to want to push your hips back. So keep your hips forward. That's going to make sure that the shoulders stay over the palms. Pull the abs in. Really pull the abs in. Now squeeze the glutes as you pull the abs in. Make sure the elbows are straight. Arms are straight. Shoulders over palms. Pull the abs in. You got 10 seconds here. Keep holding. Keep hovering. If you got nothing left, you can drop the knees down. Hold it out. You got 3 seconds. Hold it. Relax. Nice job. I'll show you side profile here. You got that L sit with that little shoulder flexion hold. So again, sitting forward, sitting tall. Arms nice and straight. If you have a trouble or tendency to trouble with those elbows, perhaps focus really on those elbows. If you have a tendency to try falling back, simply bend the knees so you can sit a little more forward on those sit bones. So almost as if someone's going to try to tilt your pelvis slightly forward, that can help you with that, maintaining that extended spine position that you need to do this effectively. So then from here, as I was saying, imagine someone were to be on your lumbar or tailbone, pushing you forward while you're holding onto some bar, you're hanging even perhaps, or someone's pulling your arms back in that opposite direction. But from there, if you've got it, you don't lose that spine, go for straightening the legs. But keep those arms nice and straight. Now you do want to feel that lift through that lower half portion of the spine, and you can do that by creating that diaphragmatic tension as you vacuum the whole abdominal, pulling it into the spine. You will create that lift, lengthening through that lower portion of that spine. So just something to think about. It's another reason why to continually pull the abs in. Yes, it's harder, feels more restrictive. I get it. Pull the abs in. Pull the abs in. You got 5 seconds here. Pull the abs in. Arms back, forward just a little bit. Good. Okay. Let's grab your dumbbells. We're going to be on our feet. We're holding a hinge position as we do a T-Fly. So on back about about parallel with the floor. As you come 90 on the arms, make sure the shoulders don't shrug. And then coming back to start position. Dumbbells will start facing each other. Again, dumbbells. And then wide with the arm. Go ahead, join if you haven't already. I'll show you from the side here. So my feet are about hip width apart. My legs are straight. Legs, much like the arms were when you were doing that bear hold. You want to make sure the leg is straight, but you're not locking the knee joint. So like the arms, you want to make sure that the quadricep muscles and those hamstring muscles, you feel tension throughout the entire leg, almost like a cylinder of tension, and that will help to support that knee joint. I just don't want you loose, especially if you have really mobile hamstrings. Oftentimes, they can become so lax in holding these hinged positions that you don't actually have tension within the muscle to stabilize the joint. Essentially, that's how you stabilize joints, is through muscular tension. So even though you're holding this hinged position, and again, if that's not you, if you're not super loose through here, fine, doesn't matter. You still want to flex the muscles. You always want to support the joints. And technically, the knee is a fairly it's a fairly weaker joint relative to like the hip, for instance. And so it's more prone to injuries is what I'm getting at. And holding yourself in this hinged position for a full minute, if you're not muscularly tight, this is a reminder, this is what I'm saying. If you're not muscularly tight throughout your legs, you're potentially compromising those knee joints. All right, come out of that. Hold the squat for me. And we've got a little shoulder flexion. Again, you still have those dumbbells in your hand. And just do your best here as you hold that squat position and move to flexion. This little series here is just going to take the shoulder through the 3 ranges of motion. You got flexion, abduction, and then extension. We're doing flexion right now. You just came from abduction. So you guessed it right. We're doing extension next. I'll show you face on here. Feet facing forward. Again, I'm in a little squat. Again, if you're here, that's fine. The objective is to keep the back in a neutral position. So I show you a side profile here. You got 20 seconds. So again, with that flat back, as the arms come up, pulling the abs in, making sure that head does not come forward. You'll notice my arms come straight up. They're not coming wide. I want you to continue to emphasize this. Keep the arms as straight as you can as they come up. Make sure the shoulders sit down. Make sure the head does not roll forward. Really important. Keep that head back. Let's do one more together. Pull the abs in. Arms as straight as you can. Do not bend those elbows. Do not bend the elbows. Straighten the arms. Good. All right. We got a crescent lunge with a shoulder extension. So now stepping back. Once you're in the bottom position, I want you to extend the shoulders. Finish the arms. Stand back up other side. Join me now. Make sure toes are facing forward on this, by the way. Palms also facing forward. Toes, especially the back foot toes. You want to make sure that they're square. The back foot turns open. It's more likely that your hip's going to rotate. Not the end of the world, just going to change which muscles specifically are firing. So we want you in a neutral position. And so you can even just ensure that your pelvis is in a proper position by making sure that the feet are in a proper position. And that works both directions. But just make sure that the feet are forward. Back leg is straight, by the way. I know you feel like that back knee is really straight, but how about straighten that a little more? Your knees and elbows, by the way, are very similar. So when I cue a knee straightening, it's much the same as me saying, straighten your elbows. They're, like I was saying, analogs. And so the cueing should be fairly similar. We got one more on each side here. Get straight in the back knee. Take a big size step. The step will stretch those hips a little more. That's good. All right, we're going back to the hinge position, to the T-Fly. So to that 90 degrees. Now you're going to get to about this height, so just below the shoulder height in terms of verticality. And then the arm's going to want to pull back. And I need you to resist that without having the shoulders shrug forward. That's really tough to do. So it's high and wide as you go through this fly, not collapsing that shoulder joint. The arms coming back this way is collapsing of the shoulder joint. Your arm staying more broad or more wide, 90 degrees, if you will, is going to force a little more stretch through the upper back muscles as they expand. It's also harder. You can notice that too. You'll notice you're stronger feeling here from that last exercise. Even you're much stronger here than you were here. Doesn't mean this is any more effective or any less effective. It's just working slightly different things. Let's do one more here. You got it. Now hold that squat position, and then we'll do a little shoulder flexion. So sitting back, pulling the abs in, tuck the hips under just a little bit. Keep the arms nice and straight. And pull those arms back without the head coming forward. Try not to let the lower back arch on this. Again, this is a fairly tricky exercise. We've done things like this before. And that's good to continue to do the same exercises every now and again, just simply because revisiting can help you to reinforce proper form and check to see how you're improving through time. So one thing to really think about, and I demonstrated with that extreme arch, that last rep, is be mindful that that doesn't occur as the arms flex up. That's like the number one. That's the biggest thing that I see on this. It's my biggest complaint as people do the exercise. It's because your lat muscles, your erector muscles are tight. And so as the arms flex up, they don't stretch, and you get that. This is a huge exaggeration, but hopefully it's not you. You get the point. You need to keep that back nice and flat, so that as you move the arms up, you're getting the lengthening through the spine. As I was saying earlier, this contracts all the back muscles. This doesn't, because this is like a cat position, if you will, or the cow position. It contracts all the muscles. Go ahead, come out of that. We got the crescent lunge. Big step back knee nice and straight, extend the arms back. So as I was saying, when your back arches like that, you're contracting those muscles. When we were doing the shoulder flexion, that last thing you were just doing there, the idea is to not contract the spine muscles so you can actually get to the stretch and really emphasize on the shoulders and all those muscles through the upper back. You de-emphasize those muscles when your back arches. So just something to think about, just something to be aware of when you do those overhead stuff like that, what's going on with the low back, okay? We got 15 seconds here. Take a nice step back. Not too much swing on this, by the way. I want you to at least be able to hold the position. Obviously, you're holding on to weights, whether you're 3s or 5s. You get to this position here, I want you to really squeeze the shoulder blades and then let it go. Let's do one more here. And then we got a prone lateral sweep, a good challenge for you. Squeeze, go ahead, let that go. You can set your dumbbells down. We're gonna be on our stomachs here for that prone lateral sweep. This is a good challenge. As I was saying, start with your legs together, arms together, toes are pointed. You're lifting your legs. If you're lifting your arms up, keep your toes pointed the entire time and then abducting out. So it's an extension to some abduction here. Keep your legs up the entire time. My thighs are not touching the floor. Hopefully yours aren't either. So I'm primarily on my stomach here. And that's where you'd want to be as well. If you're not, that's not a big deal. Just get the arms up as high as you can. Now we got a full minute here. Whatever your range of motion is, it's fine. If you needed to take breaks, it's fine. If you don't need to take breaks, challenge yourself to maintain this extended position. I'm in an extended position because I'm lifting off the floor. So that's firing muscles continuously for the full minute, let alone having to do more muscle engagement to move the arms and legs into the abduction. A lot of words, all said and done. It's really hard, and I expect this to be hard. So you need to lift yourself up. You need to lift your legs up. You need to hold that height as you go through space here. Don't stop. You got 10 seconds. One more. Lift the legs, lift the arms. Wide. Super straight legs, super straight arms. Let it go, corpse pose. Totally let it go. This corpse pose is a relax. So of all the things we've done so far, that was the hardest. It definitely spiked my heart rate, got me sweating quite a bit. Hopefully you as well. If not, when we do it again, push yourself. Get yourself a little higher off the floor. That last exercise should be uncomfortable. It should be irritating. It should be a struggle, almost like a 10 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. And you want that. I mean, you're essentially fighting gravity, and then all your muscles in your body want you to stay in flexion, you fold forward. But you're trying to build strength and build mobility through the kinetic chain, and you can do that through those extension exercises. So just continue to relax here right now for 20 seconds. But as we go through it again, I want you to just lift everything you got. Just 60 seconds. Keep the arms straight. Keep pointing those toes. Make sure if you were having a hard time when your legs were coming together, you're having a hard time getting your heels together from the start of the rep, maybe just focus on that. Maybe just focus on one thing. Maybe it's just, I'm really going to straighten my elbows this time. Or again, like I was saying, when you're moving your legs, I'm just going to make sure that I at least keep the ankle straight. Or maybe I'm just going to make sure that I can get my heels to touch each other. Or maybe I'm going to focus on my knees staying straight. Whatever it might be. Maybe just one thing. Really emphasize that. Let's do it for a full minute. Here we go. So keep the arms nice and straight, legs straight. Hold your lift, and then start moving while you maintain, ideally, the lift position throughout. So you can see here, I'm staying extended, and then I'm just abducting the arms. If you're not this high, it's fine. If you're lower, totally fine. If you need breaks, fine. Challenge yourself to stay up, though, okay? You're trying to strengthen all of the erectors and all of the extenders of the body right now. These are the go muscles. Maybe not the show muscles, but they are the go muscles. Keep the arms straight. Don't bend the elbows. As fatigue sets in, don't bend the elbows. Keep your wrists straight. How about your hands? Can you keep your hands straight too, or do you have to fold? Oops. Okay, we got 15 seconds. Keep staying up. It's these last 10 seconds that really, really matter. Stay up. Do not fall. We got 2 more reps here. Let's do one more. Lift. You got it. Okay, corpse pose, let that go. So just take inventory. How do you fall? How do you decompress? How flat does your low back feel? How flat can your head feel? How about your back of your legs? How much do your femurs from the ball and socket joint and the feet, how much do they want to externally rotate? How about your hands? How far out from the sides of your body do they want to move? Take inventory, because in time, feet are going to want to be more forward, upright. Femurs are going to just fall in their sockets in a relaxed state, which is going to inherently put your position in a neutral position, just at rest. Likewise with your shoulders, head, neck, as all this tension releases, your arms from being out here are going to slowly start flexing in, and your palms are going to relax, just faced up, because of all the unnecessary tension that you perhaps have at the shoulders, head, and neck. As that starts to dissipate, how you will rest in a relaxed state will be closer to biomechanically normal than perhaps is today. So just, again, take inventory. Where are you today? How are you at rest? What I'm saying is how contorted are you at rest? And in time, as those muscle length relationships improve, you'll be actually in a lengthened position while at rest. Kind of cool. All right, we're gonna come to our feet here. Grab your dumbbells. We got a little isometric series. So holding a hinge position for a full minute. This is a good challenge here. So quick demonstrate again, dumbbells in hands. We're gonna start on the right side here first. Point the back toe. We did do this on Wednesday. This is tough stuff. Join me now. So as you hold here for a full minute, the back toe does stay pointed, and you are trying to rotate this left hip down so as to keep both of your hips square as you hold the position. Now you do want a straight right leg. I don't want to see a lot of knee bend on it. I do want a straight leg. However, you're not locking your knee as you do this. It's really, really important that you don't lock the knee. So you should feel like a band of muscular tension kind of around the knee, just above and just below. especially above the knee. You should feel really, really, really strong just above the knee. As that vastus medialis, this muscle right here, as that muscle engages, as that muscle fires, and then the hamstrings become taut. I do not want you to feel loose as you hold the hinge position for that full minute. Continue to hold. Now I was holding, as I was demonstrating here. Continue to show you. You got 20 seconds yet. As I was demonstrating here, I was pretty far into that hinge position, basically in the full flex position. If you're not, if you're here, that's fine. If this is still hard, set the foot down, okay? So you can just anchor your back foot, but if you're gonna anchor on the back foot, you need to be on the inside of the big toe. You're not letting that back foot supinate out. Okay, switch sides. So now we're on the right side. So again, if you're here even, that's perfectly fine. Ideally, you just want a straight line if you think from your heel to your shoulder. If you have the range of motion, you can stabilize your joints. You can stabilize at the ankle. You can stabilize at the knee. You can then stabilize at the hip. Then you can stabilize through the lumbar spine and working up through that kinetic chain. You'll notice I have a straight line. Maybe you can't see it, but I'll show you in a side profile in a second here. I have a straight line from my foot to my shoulders. So I'm not rounding through the spine here. I'm not flexing over, not canting, twisting through the hip. But again, you can always shallow your range of motion. Perhaps it just looks like this. You get 10 seconds. And that's okay too, okay? So wherever you are, totally fine. You got 5, just hold it out. Then we got some backward lunges here. So let's go ahead and release that. We're gonna go through a second round of this series. That's a good challenge for you. Again, just bend the back knee, flush out those muscles, particularly those hamstring muscles. They're what are doing the eccentric muscle contraction. So you have lengthening, if you will, through the hamstrings. And then I'm asking you to hold that length and tension. That's really, really, really hard to do. It's something you want to get good at because that'll improve that tolerance of stretch just in general. So it'll be more likely that your muscles fall to a very relaxed state when not in exercise. Like that's what I was talking about with that corpse pose, is you're not exercising there, obviously in a corpse pose, or in that instance you weren't. So how do you fall? Like how does your muscles, how does your body naturally release tension? And that's what I was asking you to kind of take inventory of. How do you release tension? And if you don't yet, that's fine. Good news. Keep practicing this stuff. It will, in time, teach the body, brain send signals to the muscles that, hey, it's okay. I don't have to always be on. I was on an exercise and it was awful. I could be off now. So maybe another way to think about that. Hold the hinge position. You got the right foot down. Point the back toe. Square the hips. If you can find yourself in that full position, great. Just make sure that, again, the hips stay nice and square. If you're not all the way here, right, I'll show you from the side profile. If you're here, just like this, that's perfectly fine. But again, if you have the stretch tolerance, as I was talking about, but also the strength, okay? Because the further you go into range of motion, the more strength it requires because muscles are pulling harder on the joint, hence you're going further into the range of motion. So you need to have that strength to counter the stretch. But again, ensuring that you're always square, that's number 1. So it's form first. Just focus on your biomechanics. How am I positioned in space? And then work through range of motion as you get stronger and as your muscles tolerate more stretch. Continue to hold here. You got about 15 seconds. So I do want you to feel the arch of that right foot here right now. So you are pushing, I'm coming out of that. I want you to push really hard down on that big toe. For the last 3 seconds here. Wherever you are, just finish it up. And now we got that left side. So again, straight leg on that left leg, pointing that back toe, trying your best to square the hips. So in a perfect world, you would feel as much tension in the front of the leg as the back of the leg. I feel a little more in my hamstring than my quadricep, but the goal is to feel an equal amount of tightness in terms of how the muscles are contracting. So I feel more stretch is what I'm getting at in the hamstring. I'm feeling tension, I'm feeling strength in the quadricep muscle in the thigh. The stretch is pretty mild in the hamstring, but as a hamstring's stretching ability has improved, as I hold hinge positions, it starts to feel closer in terms of the type of tension. And that ultimately should be the goal in terms of what's stabilizing the knee. It just feels like, yeah, your muscles are stretching, but everything is equally contracting around the joint. But come out of that, let's do some backward lunges. And it would be the same with like your shoulders. All right, so we do a shoulder press, we do shoulder flexion, what have you. You might have areas, is what I'm getting at. I feel just like, holy cow, like Why is that? It gets in the way of every other sensation. And that's okay. Just take inventory of that, work through that, maybe back off sometimes so it doesn't get too intense, so you can feel other things. Because you should be able to feel, like I was saying with that knee joint, you should be able to feel kind of everything and everything equally. And again, it's hard, and it's perhaps not the case. In most areas in my body, it's not the case. But as your fitness improves, it kind of starts to become the case. So that's, again, just another kind of thing to look out for as you go through these exercises. As your biomechanics and your movement quality improves, how do the sensations of the exercises feel? Do they feel more fluid? Do you feel like you have a better sensation of what is it I'm feeling here? Aside from just all awful, like, oh yeah, I'm kind of noticing it doesn't feel terrible. That muscle's contracting, that muscle's stretching, et cetera, et cetera. Just another way to think about exercise. Let's do 2 more here. And then last one. You got it. So we're going to go into a forearm plank position. And we're going to do a push-up. So just listen to the cueing here. It's right, left to left, right. So whether you're on your toes or your knees, doesn't matter. Start in a forearm plank position. Right arm up, left arm down, right arm down. Rinse and repeat. You can do that in your head. So right, left, right. All right, go for it. And again, doesn't matter whether you are from your knees or from your toes. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Now you are going to have some sway as you go through these. I'll drop to my knees just so you can see an illustration how it can be done from. So it doesn't really matter whether you are from your toes or your knees, and you are going to have some wobble through your hips and shoulders. I do acknowledge that on this one, but continue to try to move. This does do a decent job of strengthening through the shoulders and the tricep muscles. So as you push, get the palm underneath the shoulder. You're not pushing with your hand way out forward. It's the palm directly underneath that shoulder joint. Make sure your shoulders aren't shrugging forward. If you got nothing left on this, you got 20 seconds yet, you can simply hold the plank position. But if you still have some energy left in the tank, continue to move. This should definitely burn the shoulders out quite a bit. That's kind of the goal here. You got 5 seconds. And then we've got on our back. Okay, so we're in a supine position. Straighten your legs or get them as straight as you can with your feet flexed. We're going to try to release the back of the leg here. So legs and arms in a vertical perpendicular position. We're doing a top half crunch. So I want you to continually flex through your heels, just straight up. If you can reach your toes, great. If your knees look like this, your feet are like that, that's perfectly fine. The idea is we're working through upper thoracic flexion. So you're not just letting the head, you're not just pile driving the head forward. You are trying to flex like a wheel, or like part of like the chain around a wheel, if you will. On a bicycle, you're trying to like pull that chain around the wheel as you pedal. So just think of that happening as the spine flexes up and down. And again, if you could do this with straight legs and feet flexed, cool, go for it. Just make sure that the legs are not externally rotating as you go through your top half crunch here. Now, I haven't cued it, but pull your abs in as you go through your top half crunch. Really pull your abs in as you go through your top half crunch. Let's do 2 more here. Last one. All right, we'll flip back over. I want to do a little child's pose. Separate your knees, though, for me. So we're going to look like so. You can see me face on here. And then we're going to tilt our pelvis. Perhaps you can't see that. Tilting. So opposite of tucking your tail. You probably know what tucking your tail is. Don't tuck your tail. Tilt your tail. So tilt forward, pelvis going forward. And then from there, if you can hold that tilted position, I want you to push your hips back. If you've got that, you can flatten yourself down with extension through the spine. You can bring your arms forward. If you're not here, I just demonstrated that, and that's like no way impossible. Have your hands just like so. Okay? Don't worry about your upper back. Don't worry about your shoulders. Don't worry about that. And then from here, you can rock back. If that's too painful, bring your knees closer together and just push your hips back. That's it. Just push your hips back. Now, as you push your hips back, you are trying to tilt. Again, from the side here. Tilt. Tilt. Okay, see if you can memorize that. This is a tilting of the pelvis. This is tucking. So with your knees separated right now, you are tilting your pelvis. and then pushing your hips back. Do not take this to pain. People oftentimes describe this towards the muscles that attach towards the groin as being unbearable. I don't want to hear that. Back off, okay? Maybe discomfort, but it shouldn't be like, I'm going to die right now. That's not how you should stretch. So again, find what works for you. Find a position that is fine. Get that tilt position with the knees separated, and then you can work up the kinetic chain if you've got it. And then in time, yeah, you'll get yourself nice and flat to the floor, wherever it is you are. Switch back to the push-ups now. Here we go. Right, left, right. Just remember that, and you're good to go. So start on the forearms. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Good. And again, you are going to have some rocking through the shoulders and hips on this one. I acknowledge it. Okay. Just do your best to not have to rock more than necessary as you go through. Again, go from your knees if you need to. No foul there. Make sure you're pulling your abs in too. So this one's actually quite demanding. I would even say a little more demanding on the core on the midsection than even just holding a plank position due to having to stabilize, obviously, one arm for a period of time as you're pressing up. But it's also that trying to resist that transverse rotation that's occurring through the spine, to the hips, to the core. So your abs have to actually stabilize against that. And that's why as you go through the movement here, I really try not to do too much twisting through your shoulders and hips. Keep moving, but stay as square as possible. It's going to make your abs just work, yes, harder. It's something to think about, though. Again, if you need to drop down, do so. We got 5 seconds here. Finish up your last rep. Nice job. Then flip over onto your back. Hold your legs up. Feet are flexed. Flex your feet. Bend your knees if you need to, but if you can straighten those legs, cool. And then let's do that top half crunch. Up and down here. You got it. Make sure the head's not pile driving forward. Keep trying to reach through the heels as you flex up. That's actually really important on this one, is that you keep reaching hard through those heels. You're trying to straighten the legs if you can. I mean, there's a lot of sensations happening right now. If you can feel your quadricep muscles tighten because you're trying to pull the kneecaps towards the hips, tighten these muscles. If you do that as well, great. That'll just do a better job of releasing this tension here, just pulling down on the kneecaps. Or I should say, well, I guess it's in this case pulling down, but pulling the kneecaps towards the hips. Tightening those thigh muscles in the process. You got 15 seconds here. Keep reaching through those heels. Keep crunching up. Try to get those arms all the way up to the feet. Maybe not today, but you'll get there. Let's do one more. Cool, let that go. Okay, little child's pose. Again, separate those knees. Push the hips back. But again, when you push the hips back, you are tilting. So let me talk about this. As you push the hips back, I'll show you from the side here. If you push the hips back, but then that occurs, this is a tuck. Come forward, try it again. Tilt. So you can see I'm tilted right now. Pushing back and pushing back, pushing back, pushing back, pushing back. But if I keep pushing back and I start losing the tilt, I've gone too far. These are sensations. This is what I talk about a lot when I'm talking about tuning into your body and sensing things. Sense what the muscles feel like to hold a tilted position. Sense the change when you lose the tilt position as you go through range of motion. Sense that so you know how to self-correct. Hold, and then if you can, get into your arms. You can squeeze your upper inner thighs on this one. That will help with the tilt. Trying to squeeze those upper inner thigh muscles together. That'll also help you with pushing your hips back. Don't push your hips so far back as to lose the tilt. Don't do that. You're maintaining a tilted position and then pushing your hips back. You can always bring your knees in a little closer together. That'll help it make it a little easier to hold that tilted hip position. Got 5 seconds here. Finish up. Good. Grab your dumbbells. Actually, let's grab a quick drink of water. I think that's a good time. Real quick drink. All right, now as I was saying, grab your dumbbells and do a little shoulder squat. Feet a little wider than shoulder width, toes slightly turned out, hands at your shoulders the entire time. And let's squat. So up and down, nice and upright. Let's get that heart rate moving again. I do want to move throughout this little block. Some strength exercises, some muscle endurance exercises. So I'm not going all the way down in the squat. I could go certainly lower, but focusing again on proper form. This is a squat that probably looks something a little more like how your squat should look or does look. So as you sit back here, you're staying broad to the shoulders and chest. Abs stay drawn in. Lumbar in that neutral position. You're trying to keep your forearms vertical as you go through the squats, not letting the head come forward. Again, all of these cues are designed to strengthen that posterior chain of the muscles. As I said earlier, the go muscles, maybe not so much the show muscles, but ultimately muscles that give you good posture, good endurance, etc. So stay nice and upright, pull the arms back, head back, wrist straight. You get 15 seconds here and we got push-ups. I know we just kind of did something like push-ups, but we got to do more of them. Keep sitting back, pull the abs in. You gotta make sure the head's not coming forward. Your weight's back on your heels, but you're pushing down on the big toe, big time. Okay, we got one more squat. Last one here. You got it. All right, quick transition to push-ups. I'll show this face on. Make sure your shoulders or your hands are at least shoulder width, maybe even a little wider. My palms are slightly wider than shoulder width on this. As I'm going through the push-ups here, making sure that the arm stays at a 45 or the shoulder joint stays at a 45. This would be 90, not there. I'm here, I'm 45. So again, try not to flare the elbows so wide. And I'll do a couple things actually. When your arm is more here versus here, if it's more here, you're gonna get a little more pec involved, get a little more chest, which actually makes you stronger in this position. In this position, it also engages a little more of the lower part of the subscat when your arms are here versus here, so a little bit lower on the upper back. In addition, it's more likely to keep your shoulder in a better position when you're at that 45-degree angle. If your arm's much wider or higher, you're more likely to shrug at the shoulder. You don't want to do that. Finish your last push-up here. And then we got a prone body extension. Yes, some more extension exercises. So here we go, up and down, point your toes together. Lift, hold for a second, and then back down. No, I'm not going to make you hold for a minute this week, but I'm going to make you do the exercise. So lift and hold, and then back down. By the way, my feet are together the entire time. So are yours. Do not let those heels separate. I know how much you like to separate your heels. I know how much you're not going to separate your heels. Do not let them separate as you point your toes, as you lift those legs up. Now don't bend your knees as you keep those heels together. Because I noticed to keep your heels together, your knees are bending a lot. Stop doing that. Don't bend your knees. Keep your heels together. Now on the next one, get your thighs off the floor. With your knees straight and your heels together. And if it's not possible, it's fine. Work towards it. Okay, we got one more. Last one here. Nice and up. And down. On your feet, grab your dumbbells. You got those squats. Hands at shoulders, palms facing forward. Here we go. Nice and up, upright position as you go through your squats. Let's move. Again, this is another pretty challenging block here, doing that intentionally. Yes, fatigue is good. Exercises that are taxing on the muscles, but also the nervous system. And I haven't really talked about that. When we do extension exercises, that last thing we just came out of, they're very stimulating on the actual nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. It's like that fight or flight response. That actually kind of triggers when we do back bends, especially real extreme full body back bends. It triggers that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. So it should kind of hop you up. You should know. You should feel very alert after doing something like that. Very acutely alert, maybe even more than other exercises. And maybe you noticed that. So pay attention to that if you didn't. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's good work. Keep lifting. You got 10 seconds here. Keep squatting. Try not to fall forward as you squat. Getting long in the hour, so just stay nice and upright here as you sit back. Stay nice and broad through the shoulders, through the chest. Let's do one more squat. Set your dumbbells down. Let's do some push-ups. Here we roll. So again, whether you are from your toes or your knees, it doesn't matter. What does is that you're holding a proper planked position, and then you are doing your best to move through a arm exercise without losing the plank position, wherever or however you are doing your plank. And then adding the arm movement, the push-up. Pull the abs in. Keep your knees straight. Really feel straight. They could be straighter. Make sure the head's not falling forward. That fatigue is setting in. We got 15 seconds. As I can feel fatigue set in, which means my head wants to fall forward. So I release the tension to the back of the neck, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep contracting those muscles, keeping the head back. As I fatigue here, I'm going to do one more push-up. You got it. All right, got those prone extensions. I didn't mention no dumbbells, but no dumbbells. Keep your arms right along the sides of the body. As you lift, hold for that second, maybe two. Back down. Lift. Keep the feet together. Keep the legs together. Squeeze the inner thighs as you lift. You might not be able to feel that sensation. Squeezing the inner thighs together as you lift. Try to, though. Try to work towards that. You can feel the inner thighs squeeze. Squeeze the glutes as you squeeze the inner thighs. See if you can feel that. See if you can feel those two muscle groups work together. Keep lifting. Okay, we got time for two more. Up. And then one more. Arms right along the sides of the body. Lift. Good. On our feet, grab your dumbbells. We are hinging really wide. So your feet are going to be turned out here. Hands in front with your dumbbells, just arms just kind of relaxed. And we are simply hinging forward at the hip, emphasizing the posterior chain on this. So I really want you feeling the muscles to the outside from the back of the hips here, upper butt muscle, all the way down. Kind of a line, that lateral posterior side as you hinge here. By the way, you can let your hips come back. Oftentimes I ask you to have your hips directly over your feet. Again, I'm really emphasizing the posterior lateral side. So the stretch, push your hips back to get the stretch. Push your hips forward to contract all those same muscles. Really feel the glute max. Squeeze at the top of the movement. Push the hips back on this one. Push the hips way back on this one. Squeeze the glutes to pull yourself up. It should feel like your glute muscle contracting out of the bottom of the movement right here. By the way, if you get here and you're like, I can't feel my glutes, come up a little higher and then hinge from here. So if you find a depth where you can feel like you can get your glute to contract, and it's the glute that is shortening, it's that contraction of the glute, which is pulling your hips forward. You get 10 seconds here. Nice and low, squeeze the glute. Let's do one more, and we got a sumo squat. So easy transition. You got it. Now sumo squat, so keep the feet nice and wide. Bring the hands up to the shoulders though. And then we're gonna squat, sitting nice and back into the hips. As you sit back into the hips, make sure the hips are not tilting forward. Already talked about that earlier in the hour, but I'm not gonna explain why already, because I already did. But as you sit back, again, ensuring not here. You're in a neutral position as you sink low into that squat. So again, neutral. If you're just doing this to get lower, you're doing it wrong. Don't go as low, okay? And that way, if you're always keeping your hips in a neutral position, as you get more range of motion, you're ensuring your muscles are actually improving the way they function because you're not having to deviate or make compromise. So again, neutral hip position as you work through space here. We got 10 seconds and we're gonna do narrow stance. Let's do one more. Hold for a second for me. Hold. Hold the abs and squeeze your glutes. Squeeze your butt, squeeze it. Come up, that's good. Transition, feet 6 inches or so apart. Now hinging forward. So just like before with the hinge, but emphasizing now more of the middle line muscles and inner muscles. So not so much the lateral posterior chain, think more midline of the body, but also like the adductor muscles, the inner thigh muscles. So as you hinge here, let's engage those upper inner thighs. I want you to feel like you're gonna squeeze them together and then pull up on the kneecaps to tighten the quadricep muscles. I want you to relax when you're doing this hinge here. Relax the back of the legs. But on the hinge up, we're going to hinge up right now. Squeeze your glutes to lift up. Rinse and repeat. Light through the legs on the hinge down. Tighten the glutes. Squeeze back up. Light through the back of the legs. Squeeze the glutes back up. You get the idea. Let's do a couple more here. Now the legs are straight on this. The legs are ideally vertical or about perpendicular. You're not pile driving your hips back, okay? You're gonna want to emphasize a little more of the inner thigh that way. Let's do one more, and then we got some squats. Okay, so just do your best with this. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Don't move your feet. Don't adjust your feet. Squat. Holy cow, was that hard? Feels very restrictive through the hips. I get it. A lot of muscles have to stretch through the lumbar, through the back of the hips. You got a lot of muscles back there. They need to lengthen. Tailbone muscles over the back of the trochanter. Muscles that run along the lumbar spine. They all have to stretch to sit in any amount of depth, really, for this exercise without collapsing. Okay? Stay upright. Sit back. You can always shallow range of motion. Squat should never be painful. Never be painful. Lunge should never be painful. If it is, probably doing it mechanically wrong or you have a serious injury. Because if you're doing an exercise correct, you shouldn't hurt because it should be kind of in a way, correct movement should be therapeutic. Sit back here. Hold. Hold this last one for me. Hold. 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 Good. Come out of that. Hands forward. We're going to get right into it again. So again, now hinging at the hips, wide sumo stance. Push the butt way back. Really emphasize that. Your muscles at this point in the hour they're mobile. I mean, they're about as mobile as they're going to get throughout the day or even the week for that matter. Take advantage of it. Don't overdo it. But what I'm getting at is push the hips back. Feel that stretch, right? Don't take it to pain, but take advantage of this opportunity. You got this little extra range of motion. You got all that blood flow. You know, that everything is primed and ready for range of motion. So push the hips back, pull the abs in. By the way, you are tilting your pelvis forward as you push the hips back. And then squeeze the glutes to stand back up. So again, forward slightly. Again, it's not excessive extension through the lumbar spine, but you're not tucking under, okay? You got that slight tilt in that lumbar or neutral position. Feel the stretch, squeeze the glutes, tighten up. Lift yourself back up. You got 15 more seconds here, and we got the sumo squat right after this. Good low hinge, pull the abs in. Remember, squeeze the glutes. I cannot emphasize that enough. Dead serious, squeeze the glutes. That's like number one on this. You're right here, this position, you got a nice stretch happening through the glute max. Take advantage of that stretch, contract the muscles to strengthen that glute max, and then lift yourself, overcoming that long lever that you just created. Let's do one more here. Squeeze the glute. Bring your hands to your shoulders, sumo squat, sit back. Look at that transition, how quick that was. Didn't even need to adjust. Hopefully yours looked like that too. Sit back, draw the abs in. Stay head up, arms broad, abs in. Keep squatting. Remember, your feet are going out. Your knees are going out. You are wide, expansive through the front of your body. You are not letting yourself fall forward. You are not letting your hips tilt forward. No extreme arching through that back. Try to keep that back as upright as you can. Yes, there's going to be some natural curving occurring through the spine. I get it. Your upper thoracic naturally and that cervical spine makes a natural S. Your lumbar makes a natural S. Yes. We're trying to correct for the exaggeration of that S. So through exercise, through strengthening the kinetic chain, it's ensuring that we don't over-exaggerate the S curve of the spine. Essentially what a lot of these exercises are designed is so that we don't fold forward, exaggerating a compromised spine position. All right, let's do one more here. One more right now. You got it. Bring your feet a little closer together. Hands in front. We're going to be hinging now at the hips. Keep the leg nice and vertical. So my weight's a little more forward on the foot with this. You can see my leg is, I'm not here. Right? I'm not pile driving into the hip. Okay? I'm forward. So I do feel a fair amount of weight to the ball of the foot as I'm squeezing my upper inner thighs, pulling up on the kneecaps. I'm trying to release my hamstrings on this hinge. But when I get to the bottom of the hinge, I'm at the bottom right now. Squeeze the glutes to stand back up. I hope your back is flat the entire time. And just to get low, you don't have to do this because this is a different exercise, okay? You have a flat back as you hinge forward. The fulcrum, the hinge, is here, nothing else. No other joint in your body needs to be moving right now. Squeeze the glutes out of the bottom. Contract your inner thighs together. Pull up on the kneecaps. Try to relax the hamstrings, the calf muscles. Let's do one more. We're going to shift to a squat. I'll show you from the side here. Don't adjust the feet. The feet are narrow. I get it. They're uncomfortably narrow. It's like there's no room for the hips. There's no room for the knees. I know, that's the point. Make room. How do you make room? Muscles stretch. Muscles contract. What if they don't? Well, they will. Just keep working towards it. Repetitively. Keep working towards it. Keep focusing on that good form. Stay upright. Make sure the legs stay in their lanes. Make sure the back is not changing positions. You are sensing tension. You feel your abs contract in. You feel your glutes squeeze. Maybe you feel a little stretch occurring through that lumbar spine because this is not happening. Keep moving here. Let's see here. Supine Bear Hug, cool. Let's do 2 more here. Pull the abs in. Hold your last one. Hold, just hold for me. Hold, keep holding. Squeeze your glutes, pull your abs in. Just focus on that right now. Squeeze your glutes, pull your abs in. All right, let that go. So your dumbbells down, give yourself a little bear hug hold. So grab your knees. I'm gonna demonstrate this with my elbows right at my sides. Get your shoulders out of your ears. Take your hands to your knees. See if you can keep your elbows on the floor. See if you can keep your elbows seriously on the floor as you grab your knees. See if you can do that. Can you keep your arms down? Arms right along the sides, shoulders down, head and neck nice and long, and grabbing those knees. You should be able to. If you can't, that's okay. So if your arms are up, right? If your arms are up because you can't get your shoulders down, it means you just have unnecessary tension through that cervical spine, through that upper back. That's okay. But hey, even a bear hug, something like this, or I guess just grabbing your knees, can be highly indicative of your own limitations at your head, neck, and shoulders. Because technically you should be able, in this position, elbows down and grabbing those knees in with that head, neck nice and long, feeling your shoulder blades squeeze down. But if not, that's fine. Do for me, please, pull your abs in. Really pull your abs in as you pull your knees towards your shoulders. And then try to tilt your pelvis. You are tilting so you get your low back to slightly arch off the floor. It's not going to happen because you're countering that tilting with the knees drawing in towards the shoulders. As you draw your knees into the shoulders, why are you shrugging your shoulders? Don't do that. You're mitigating a stretch through the neck this way. Pull your shoulders down as you pull your knees to your shoulders. Pulling your shoulders down because you're anchoring your shoulder blades that way, down towards your hips. You got 10 seconds here. Just continue to hold. And go ahead and let that go. We're just going to do some knee extensions here. So with your hands at your sides, keep your feet together. Just go into a full knee extension. And then curl so that your heels come to your butt with a pointed toe. Flex the foot up with flexed foot. So we're trying to release the back of the leg, release the front of the leg. Point the toe. Release the back of the leg. Squeeze your upper and thighs, by the way, on this one. Pull your abs in. Point the toe. Release the front. Okay? Release the back. You got the idea. Reach hard through your heels. As you reach hard through your heels, especially on this one, push your tailbone down. Try to counter that. Can you feel that sensation? Can you push your tailbone down as you reach hard to the heel? Or do you have too much resistance between those two joints, the hips and the heels? Maybe your hamstrings, calf muscles are too tight to sense that. It's fine. In time, you're going to work towards that, where you're going to feel, yes, actively being able to reach the heels that way as you push the tailbone down and feeling all the lengthening that's occurring just from doing those two muscle contractions. Again, if you're not there, not a big deal. Let's do one more, though. And then real quick, give me that little bear hug. So again, just like so, I guess this isn't really a bear hug. I need a new name, but it's the same stretch. So again, hands on the knees, shoulders out of those ears, head and neck long position, as lengthened as your neck can be. Now I am causing a slight internal rotation. So as I'm grabbing my knees here, I'm trying to twist the thighs inward so that the heels would move laterally out that way. I'm doing it mildly as I'm pulling in. That's the least important cueing of the entire thing. The most important thing you need to be thinking about is as you're pulling the knees in towards the shoulders, you make sure that the shoulders do not shrug up.
Because again, what you do here will directly affect down the chain. You're kind of already taking care of down the chain just through the action of pulling the knees into the shoulders, but just keep the shoulders out of the ears. Like I said, it's super critical on this. If you're doing this, you're essentially causing flexion through the spine, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to cause traction, which is a mild amount of extension to the thoracic. Anyway, let that go. There we go. We got this little flexion here as you straighten. Point the toes, squeeze the legs together. Release that, flex the foot, squeeze the inner thigh. Try to push the tailbone down. Point the toe again. Rinse and repeat. We're just going to do a couple more here. Things should have cooled off quite a bit for you. Give you a couple minutes at the end to kind of unwind a little bit. Let's do one more of each. So you should be feeling pretty good right now. Recovered, actually. And that should feel pretty nice after getting through everything we did. So thanks for joining me again today. Plan on having a new series Wednesday and Saturday next week. Looking forward to seeing you then. Thanks.